Hello there, survivors! Welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're going to be building this western barn. Ever since they added the new hangar doors and barn doors, I thought I probably should do another barn design using these new structures, because it allows you to make a still pretty big barn that can house some of the bigger tames like Karchas or Gigas without having to go massive like you're using the Behemoth gateways. If you do need a bigger barn design, I also have a design available very similar to this using the Behemoth gates that we built over on Scorched Earth. For this build, you'll need no real mods. I only used some for decoration purposes, but everything that you really need is the Frontier structure pack, and then of course some paint to make it look nice. At the end of the build, I'll show you which paints I used so you can go for the same kind of vibe. Anyway, as always, if you enjoy these kind of build videos and you want to see more, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the build. Of course, as usual, it's going to be starting out with a foundation. This one is going to be 11 wide. So we want to take this out by 11, just like so. And then it's going to be 15 long. So we're just going to keep it going until we have 15 in total, just like this. And then, of course, we want to make a total square out of this. So we should end up with a shape like this. So it's going to be 11 and then 15. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we fill it all the way in so that we have the foundation for our barn ready. Now, of course, if you think that you need more space, you can always make it longer if you want. You could even make it wider, but longer is probably the easiest thing to do without having to change the design too much. Yeah, you just kind of add some extra space to it if you really need it, but this already gives you a pretty decent amount of space without going too crazy on like the amount of structures that you need to use to build this. And if you're wondering and you want to build an even bigger barn, I actually do also have a tutorial up for one with a Behemoth gate, so then it is of course a lot bigger on the inside as well. But yeah, this one is easier to find a good spot for you to build. We're going to take out our cellar doors, Behemoth cellar doors, and we're going to change it to the barn door, one of the new variations, and we're going to place it right here in the middle, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So once again, placing it right there in the middle. All right, then it's time to start on the walls, and we'll start with filling in these all the way like this until the same height as the doors. And of course, we can do that on the other side too. So yeah, just like this, making it all square with the door itself. And of course, if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you'll do the exact same thing right away on the other side of the barn, because that's going to be the exact same thing. So we'll just fill in all of these walls just like this. There we go. Then we can take out our wooden pillars and we can go along the side of the doorway all the way to the bottom so it touches the ground, just like that. And we want to do the same thing here on the corner of the building, just like that. There we go. And then actually above the door, we're also going to have the beam, and it's going to stick out by one on the outside. So we'll do the same thing, of course, on the other side of the building, having the beam sticking out one on each side, and then the pillars coming down from it all the way into the ground, just like so. Same thing here on the corners as well. Both sides, we want to fill those in just like that. And then we're going to actually add in some windows here. So what we want to do is we want to add some pillars just like this in the middle 3, then a beam at the bottom and the top to kind of make a window. And for the windows, we're going to use the Frontier skins. We're going to apply them here to these walls so that we have some nice big windows to enter. And of course, eventually all the normal structures except for the foundation and the windows that we already placed in the tutorial, you probably want to change to the Frontier skin as well for the best look, in my opinion. Now these windows we're gonna of course also add here at the back of the building. So we'll do the same thing, starting with the beams and then adding in these extra pillars for the windows too, just like that. And then adding in the windows like so. So that's off to a pretty good start. Now we want to go for the next layer. We're going to actually flip around the walls just to create slightly different textures. And we're going to do that for this one layer going across. Even if you change this to the frontier skin, it's going to be slightly different. And that's just going to add a little bit of extra detail to your build. Then right here in the middle, right over here, we want to make a beam of 3 long. And we want to have pillars going up by 2. And then we can connect the beams again, just like this. Now then it's the easiest way to just start on the roof. So for one, we want to add in some roofs like this, just like so. Going up 3 in total. So 3 in total right here. And overhanging on the outside by 1. So for now, I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. Adding in these 2, so the first wall or the first roof inside and 1 hanging out on the outside. And then we want to change to the wooden ramps. I personally like to flip them around, add 2 of them going up just like this. We'll do the same thing here on the other side, just like that. And then we can take out our wooden ceilings and we should be able to add them right there in the middle. And this is going to create the nice shape for the roof. We actually want to take out the ramps once more, and we want to add some here at the outside as well, the very edge, just so that we have that overhang on the outside too. And then we have a nice curved shape of the barn, which gives it that iconic look and feel to it. Then we can start filling in these walls. We actually want to make sure that they're normal way around again. Fill in these 3. On the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing. Of course, also filling in these slope walls, just like that. And then, unfortunately, of course, there's still no pieces that attach to the ramps. So we're going to have to be a little bit more creative. First of all, we'll just take out our quarter walls, add 2 of them right here, add 2 of them right over there. And then we should be able to add a full wall right in the middle. And then the best way to fill up the remaining pieces is by adding some railings right there. It's not going to completely fill it in, but once the build is completely finished, it will actually look pretty decent because, well, you can already kind of see it. You can't really look in because you just see the rest of the roof behind it. So now it's time to repeat that process over here. So once again, we're going to flip these around for the different textures, and then we're going to go all the way to the other side to do the same thing. We'll have 3 beams right here in the middle, 2 going up on both corners, and then connecting them once again, filling in all walls like this right here, 1 right there in the middle, having some quarter walls above those, of course filling in our slope walls right there too, just like that. And then of course we're going to be adding in the roofs again. So here we're just going to do these normal roofs. We'll be doing the same thing here on the other side to kind of create that nice look. And then it's time for the ramps again, flipping them around because I like that look better, especially with the frontier skins. So we'll do the same thing here, bring these together and then adding in our ceiling right there in the middle. And then we can actually connect the ceiling all the way through to the other side of the building, just like that. We can take out our wooden ramps as well and also connect the ramps here on the outside of the build all the way until we reach the other side. And of course, that's going to count for both sides of the building. So we are just going to be connecting it all the way through to the other side, just like this. All the way connecting up the 2. Then these 2 layers of ramps we can also just bring over to the other side because we're not going to do anything different. But for the roofs, we want to wait just a second because we're going to have some optional details you can add. But for now, we're just going to fill in all of these ramps. Nice and easy. so that we get that roof going. And of course, on the other side, we want to do the exact same thing. So we want to add in all of these. And for all of this build, actually, it's kind of up to you if you want to skin them right away once you finish it apart, because yeah, it might be easier to access, especially in survival, of course. But yeah, everything is going to be the frontier skins, because in my opinion, that's the best look. There we go. Then we can actually take out our beams and add them here alongside the edge of the ramps, just like that, all the way across. And the same thing right here at the top of the other ramps, kind of to, you know, make that border of the roofs and ramps a little bit smoother, because yeah, they look very different. You can clearly tell the textures are different, so this kind of makes a more natural divider with the beam. And the beams from the Frontier pack just looks really nice as well, so why not have a few of them around? So we'll do the same thing over here, bringing it all the way to the other side. And of course, the last thing that we still need to do here on this side is also add in those railings. We kind of got taken away with the roof, but there we go. Now everything should be the same everywhere, and we have 2 big holes in the roof still. So what you want to do is you want to determine what the middle of the building is, and that's the one that we're going to bring up the roofs all the way to the ramp, and we want to add 1 to either side. So the middle 3 are going to be filled in, which should leave you 5 on each side as a gap. So we'll do the same thing here on the other side. Start filling these in just like that, and again 5 on each side should remain. Then we can actually fill in the bottom layer all the way through and the top layer all the way through, just like that for both of these. And of course that goes the same for both sides. We are going to add some details to the roof, but yeah, for now we can just prepare it like this, filling in these layers and just leaving that one layer open for now. The first variation that I'm going to show you of the details that we're going to add is only possible on unofficial, if you can actually overlap structures. I don't think you can do this on official, but I'll show a different variation. We want to add in these corners, so to kind of create this a bit that sticks out. Then we can actually also add roofs to the end of that. There's what we want to add in, some ramps, so just like this, and one of them is going to overlap into the other structure. So just like this, it's going to overlap to the inside. We're going to of course have some ceilings in between, and for this last one it's going to be quarter ceiling to fill in that little gap. And then if you want to make it look nicer, here on the inside we can actually also add in those quarter ceilings, just to make it make a little bit more sense. Then here on the outside, of course, we want to make it look a little bit nicer. So what we want to do is we want to add in our slope walls just like this. Then we can add in our full walls just like that. We can have our pillars and then overlap them into each other like this. We can have a nice little railing there in the middle, and some railings just like this as well to finish off those nice details. And that makes that little nice curve here to kind of just break up the sides. You can have your birds looking outside through these windows. It just is a nice little detail. And then of course here we actually want to do the exact same thing. So once again, starting off with these corners, we want to then also add these roofs in again. Change to the ramps. Make sure to flip them around just like this. And the same here on this side. And then we add in the ceilings. This top layer, we want to make sure that we also add in the quarter layers again. And then here on the inside, to really make it all look nice, we can also add in those little quarter ceilings. Then here, of course, we're going to do the same thing with the walls, filling in the slope walls first. Connecting the proper walls next to it, having the pillars just like this, and then of course the railings to fill in the gaps. There we go. And then this one, flipping it around, and we have the nice little curves to kind of break up the roof a little bit. Just add a little bit more detail to it. Nothing too special, but yeah, just adds that nice little touch. If you do not have overlapping available, you can actually make this gap a little bit smaller. So we want to probably have it about 3 wide. And then what we actually want to do is we want to take out our ramps. Of course, make sure to flip them around again. We can actually open it like this. And we can do the same thing over here on this side. Just like that. Then we want to bring out our quarter walls just like this and fill in the corners of these, and 2 of them on each corner. And then we can have a railing in between in the middle, just like that, to kind of create some nice detail. And then here we can have some thin pillars. Of course, it would be nicer if you do this, but we're doing this to prevent overlapping. So of course, we're not going to do that, but at least now you still have a little detail to break up your roof a little bit. Yeah, make it like it's opened up, basically. Of course, there's actually different ways to do this. We can actually, if we get rid of this, if you don't like the look of this one, what you could also do, of course, is still go for the corners, just like we did on the other side. But then instead, you try to do it without any overlapping. So instead of going into ramps, you probably just instantly want to go in roofs like this, and then the rest of it you can pretty much do the same thing. So instead of having it curved, it's a little bit flatter. It doesn't look as nice, but you can still do almost the same thing. It's just going to be a little bit lower. So this is another option to yeah, still get a somewhat nice looking design, but yeah, again, it's not going to be as tall or as high as the other one. So yeah, these are 2 options that you can do if you do not have overlapping available. All right, now that we've done the roof, it's time to start on the walls here. And then here in the middle, we actually want to make sure that we add in these pillars around the middle wall. So that's also this middle part of the roof, of course, that it lines up with, and connecting this all the way up to the ground, just like this. Now, optionally, we can have a big cellar side door. So once again, we'll take the cellar door out, we'll change it to the barn doors, and right here in the middle, we'll add this one right here. So we have a smaller entrance as well as the 2 bigger entrances. And now that we've got all the entrances complete, we can of course also add in some ramps in front of them to make it a little bit easier to get in and out with your tames. So we want to do that for both the big entrances, the big barn doors that we added on the front and the back, but also here on the side. And then we can take out our wooden walls and start filling in all of the walls just like that. So yeah, this will be just an extra optional entrance if you think you will need it, because of course not all the tames need the big ones. And there we go, we'll add some pillars alongside the doorway, and of course beams across the top, also sticking out one on each side, so that already really fills in that wall. And then of course this wall here in the middle, we also just want to follow that one through. Then for this one, we want to find the middle of this part, and we want to add a double doorway right there, just a normal one, because it's actually also quite nice if you can have a normal door somewhere if you're not on a tame and you just want to quickly and easily get into the barn. And for the rest of the wall, as you can see, we're just going to be filling it in with normal wooden walls, just like that. But we're not going to leave it like this, of course. That would be a little bit boring. So we have a beam right there, beam right here, and then of course one here and one there, and we'll have pillars to connect them to basically once again add in some windows. So yeah, these ones will change to the front window, which allows us to have some nice light inside. And then of course we can add in the doors right here. We want to use the saloon skin on this one to get the nice doors. And of course you can have stairs straight up to the doors, but you can also make it a little bit more interesting by basically adding a little ceiling to the front and then having the stairs go off to the side like this. And of course having some railings around. If the landscapes allows it, you can have it there as well. And then maybe some thin pillars to support it. There we go. It just makes the entrance a little bit more interesting. You could even have the staircase going off to both sides if you want to. Then it's time to build the walls here on the other side. Once again, we're going to start out with finding the middle and building the pillars all the way up, just like that. And then we can start filling in the entire walls of this side. So we're just going to fill them all in because, of course, we're not going to add these same barn doors on both sides unless you really want to. But this is the variation if you do not want any entrances on this side. So for now, we're just going to fill in the entire wall with these wooden walls or whatever material you want to use. Because since we're using skins, custom cosmetics, we don't really need to worry about what we build out of. Technically, you can build it out of anything you like. Of course, just keep in mind how strong your walls will be. Then over here, we want to add in those windows. So just like that. We're going to bring in both of these windows right here. There we go. And then here we want to do the same thing. So we'll have a bunch of nice and big windows to bring in a bunch of light for your build. So yeah, we'll change these skins. Just like this. And there we go. So yeah, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, just some windows on this side to let in enough light and kind of break the walls up a bit. And that is the outside pretty much done. Of course, you want to skin them all to the frontier skins, and I would definitely recommend painting them. If you want to add a few more details, maybe you want to make it look like a proper little hay storage up here. So we'll change those to quarter ceilings instead, and then we'll bring out our scaffolding. We can now snap that right here in the middle, and we can add a shape like this. We want to, of course, add a thin pillar then, and then we can have the pillar stick out like that, or just one, depending on like how much of this you want to block. It just looks a little bit nicer, like it's used to carry in the hay bales into your attic. But yeah, just adds a little bit of detail. Of course, you want to change that all to the frontier skin. And yeah, you can decide for yourself if you want to just have that on one side, you don't want to have it at all, or you want to have it on both sides just to kind of add that little bit more interest to the build. I think it just makes it a little bit more special, tells a story a little bit, and yeah, looks really fun. Doesn't cost you that much, but really adds a little bit of extra life to the build. So that is pretty much the outside, and now, of course, we do want to use the inside. We have the whole bottom floor. You can do whatever you want. If you want to use big tames, you probably don't want to build any separate rooms. If you want to breed some smaller tames, you might want to make some like little stable areas so that it's a little bit more divided. But no matter what, I think you would always want to make this top part into some kind of aviary. So from the front, we're going to bring it out by 4 in total, and then we'll connect that back up to the sides. Fill in all these ceilings just like that. There we go. Because yeah, of course, it's just going to be very convenient to have your flies here. And then this one, we want to add in a little hatch frame there. And then here on the side, we actually want to make it 3 wide and connect this all the way up to the other side, which just makes some walkways for you to basically walk around on here, on top of here. Yeah, and just of course add a bunch of space for some of your flyers. Then here on this side, of course, we want to make sure that this goes out by 4 from the entrance there. So there we go. We fill in this all the way to the end. You can basically line them up with where these windows have been created. There we go. And then these sides, of course, 3 wide in total, and connecting up these last pieces, which should give you plenty of room up here to walk around and to use for some flyers. Now, just to make it look a little bit nicer, I would probably add some thin pillars on the corners of these ones if you did the overlapping to the inside with the outside details, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then what you could even do is add in some scaffolding right there to kind of make it all a little bit more supported, or at least make it look a little bit more supported, just like that. There we go. Yeah, I personally really like the look of the scaffolding, so I don't mind having a little bit more of it around. There we go. Just like that. And of course, we'll go all the way around and make sure to do this for all of these little side roofs we've made. There we go. And then, of course, we also want to make sure that we add railings around here so that you don't just keep falling down. You can still look down, of course. You can still fly down if you need to. But yeah, you do have a little bit of extra room for your flyers, your RGs, PTs, snow owls, even Ryaneth that can fit inside. And then, of course, you have all the room down here. Now, we've added at least one hatch frame here on this side. Of course, you're free to add more if you want more. You could, for example, have maybe one here and then decide, okay, right at the opposite side, I'm going to do it on the other side of the door so that we have those two. And that makes it, you know, easy. No matter what side of the barn you're on, you will be able to get up and get to your flyers, even if you do not have a flyer currently down below. And then, of course, we want to make this look a little bit nicer. So what we're going to do is one from the end here and making sure that it lines up with where these pillars start. We're going to have some scaffolding coming in to the side like that for both of these, connecting back up to the pillars right like that. And we're going to do that over here as well. So this should be lining up with the middle of the door. And once again, it's going to be two of these coming back down in and right above the middle of that side door they should be. So there's 3 between them. We're going to do the same thing here. So a gap of 3. And then we're going to add another one of these scaffolding just like this, because that's basically going to make it look like the ceilings above are being properly held up. And yeah, that just adds a nice little bit of detail around in your build. Of course, you don't necessarily need it, but it does, yeah, bring in that little bit of realism and makes the build look a little bit less boring. So we'll add these in on both sides just like that. And of course, here we want to do it right over there. There we go. Same one over here. Bringing them all back down, connecting to the walls, and just looks a little bit nicer, a little bit less like a box. Yeah, just a nice little detail to add. And that is pretty much the entire build. Then, of course, I would highly recommend changing it all to the Frontier skin for the proper Western vibes. And, of course, painting it to the right colors. Now, once again, I used silver for the pillars and all the white-ish details. I find silver a little bit nicer than actual white. It's a little less bright. Then for the red walls, I've used this color right here. So that's the best red I found. But what I did do is for the big cellar doors, actually changed it to this one to kind of have a little bit of difference going on. But of course, feel free to play around with the colors and see if you like some other combination maybe. But for my testing, I found that these look the best. So yeah, there we go. That is how you build this Western barn. So let's take a quick look at the barn in its full glory. You can see it fully painted, and this is also why we do the door in a slightly different red than the rest of the barn. Just adds a little bit of variation. You can see the nice curves on the side, the little side entrance, both the gate and the saloon doors. And then, of course, this little detail on the top as well. And then we have, yeah, some of our flyers poking through there too. But yeah, I think this is a pretty nice size. It's not too big or unrealistic to build, but it's big enough to hold some of your bigger tames. As you can see, Karcha fits inside. We've got some dodos. All the extra decorations, by the way, are from the Western Deco mod, like the hay bales. Just adds a little bit of life in here. But yeah, this of course would be perfect if you're looking for like a little breeding spot or just a dino pen spot next to your base. And this barn definitely does the trick. You can still have some things around, of course, adding in all the necessities for breeding, growing, and taming dinos here. And then, of course, you've got the ladders going up to the next layer. You've got some spots for your flyers to have them enjoy the views, or, of course, many more spots out here as well. I kind of filled it up with a lot of hay to make it look a little bit nicer. And as I said, yeah, you can in fact also fit in the Rionetha. That's the biggest flyer that I've tried. Yeah, so just so you know, you can actually fit it inside, of course, depending on which map you play on, or if you do or do not have transfers available. But yeah, there we go, a nice easy western barn design with the newly added barn doors. If you enjoyed this build, of course, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, means the world to me, and then hopefully I'll see you around in the next video or stream. Goodbye.